Hi, I'm Beth Barista, and you're watching PHTV4 Spotlight. And today, the spotlight is on Spring Birding 2024. I am here today at Wild Birds Unlimited, 13012 South LaGrange Road in Palos Park, and I'm here with the owner, Mel Tracy.
Hey,
Mel and his wife, Laura, own Wild Birds Unlimited. So, Mel, thanks for having us today. And
thanks for coming.
I want to start by asking a little bit about you. Can you tell us a little your history, how you got involved with owning Wild Birds Unlimited?
Yeah, it's a little surprising that I ended up here myself. I was into nature. We did a lot of camping when I was a kid, but I spent 25 years down at the Board of Trade and the Merc. So, but Laura's parents actually had this store before us, and when they were ready for retirement, they were, you know, asking us, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to do anything else and get off this trading floor. So it was a great opportunity for us, and so 10 years ago now we started.
Oh, wonderful. So you've been here. Have you had your 10-year anniversary yet?
Actually, the actual date just passed, but we're not having an anniversary celebration until June.
Okay, great. Oh, we'll be looking forward to that. There's always some fun things you do here. Wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about this exciting time of year, the migratory
Yeah.
season. So, where are we in the migratory season?
So it's really starting to take off. It usually peaks about the third week of May, but we just had a bird walk last on Sunday. So today's just for it's today's the 30th, and so this was on the 28th, and we had just so many great birds and had great views because the trees hadn't all leafed out yet. So we saw like northern parula and black and white warbler and yellow rump warblers and palm warblers, a bunch of great stuff. So it was really a lot of fun.
Wonderful. You know, I went on one of your bird walks last year. It was my
Yeah.
first one, and I was amazed at how knowledgeable everyone was. Just by hearing what the birds singing, they knew what the bird was, and
Yeah.
that was really great.
Yeah.
Okay, so backyard birding. Let's talk about that. So all winter we put out seed for the birds. What should we be doing now, and what types of birds are we expected to see in our backyards?
Yeah. Well, again, just yesterday, Laura was sitting in the back porch and I was in the shower and I heard her yelling, so I knew something good was going on, right? And it turned out it was our first Baltimore Oriole, so super exciting for us. And just after that, in our little group exchange on our work thing, another Rick who works here, if you know Rick, he had an Oriole. And then he had a hummingbird too. So like everything's now just starting to show up. So a lot of good stuff around. But the things to put out are, we have feeders over here, just a nectar feeder for the hummingbirds. And believe it or not, the Orioles, they love grape jelly. A lot of people think they like oranges, and they'll eat a little bit of the oranges, but really the attraction for the orange is just the fruit they eat in South America is orange in color. So they come into that. They're attracted to that orange. And so, but really, for whatever reason, they love the grape jelly, and they'll stick around the whole summer if you can provide them with some jelly.
Okay, I was going to ask that. How long? I know the hummingbirds stay till the fall.
Yeah.
The orioles stay about how long?
Well, the Orioles are almost the exact kind of same time frame, but the one difference with the Orioles is when it comes time to feeding their babies, they can only feed them like those little inchworm green things you used to see as a kid. So they'll only feed those to their babies. So usually around June 10th or something like that, they kind of disappear. And they're only out looking for the bugs. And then usually, say, maybe around 4th of July, they start coming back to the feeders, and they're bringing their babies with them. And so it's a lot of times people will be like, oh, I had the Orioles. They stuck around for 3 weeks, but then they left. And it's like, well, in migration, nothing kind of hangs around for 3 weeks and then leaves, So they're there. They were having their, babies and stuff, and they're just not coming to the feeders for a little bit.
Okay, so we should keep working on or putting our food out for the orioles all summer long then.
Yeah, I do. And the other thing about the is fun is we have robins that'll come and eat it, and we got some cardinals. Actually, cardinal pair were both eating it. Laura said that they're starting to develop a sweet tooth in my yard. We had one robin a couple years ago who would take worms, fly up to the jelly, and dunk the worm into the jelly. He was eating candy-coated worms. It was crazy. But put out the feed all year long. It is true, like they're not going to eat as much seed, but Yeah, the one thing about, and I know, I don't know if you were getting to this about not feeding during the summer, but one thing they found when they've done studies is that birds that have access to feeders, they have more babies. They have, and more of those babies will actually fledge. Even though a lot of times the parents have to find those bugs, it just turns out that if they are able to eat the seed, they don't need to eat the bugs themselves, so they don't need to get as many bugs.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Getting back to the bird watching, other than the backyard, can you give us some idea of some good locations and some and time of the day that we'd want to go and watch the migration?
Yeah, well, oddly enough, you wouldn't think that Illinois is one of the great hot spots, but just because the way Lake Michigan kind of lines up, it really, the birds kind of are coming, they migrate at night, and they can see this big open expanse, and they want to drop in and kind of refuel before they try and make that huge migration all the way lengthwise up Lake Michigan. So when within that space, it just so happens that like they need the bugs and stuff that kind of go to oak trees, and we have so many oaks here in Palos. It's just like a perfect combination. So all the birds tend to come in here. You got warblers and vireos and cuckoos and all kinds of great birds that come, and they're going to be throughout here. So I mean, anywhere along these Palos woods where there's oaks is a great spot. If you're willing to make a little bit of a trek, because, like I said, how they migrate, the lakefront is their last stop. If they haven't stopped before then, they really drop in. And so you'll find like down at Montrose Point in the city, and there's other places, through Millennium Park and all the way up into, the Rainbow Beach area, that kind of area, and by the University of Chicago.
Okay, great. That's
Yeah.
good information. I've noticed in the forest preserves there's been some workers. Can you tell us what's going on with that right now?
Yeah, well, it's pretty exciting. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, I guess. But they've got a $10 million project going on to restore all of the Palos Woods, which is, I know sometimes people don't like people working in the woods and like, what are these guys doing? But it's actually going to be really good stuff. They're going to tear a lot of it's become overgrown, and when it's so overgrown like that, the soil gets hard packed and it can't really even bring in water, and so we have water issues with flooding and everything else. So they're going to clear that out. They're going to put in some native plants, deep roots. They're going to suck up some of that water so we don't have that. In addition to that, it's going to help all of the nature. So it's really it's a big project, and it's pretty exciting.
Okay, so we should expect to see them out and about working, and we
Yeah.
will know what it is then.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the year of the cicada.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows, right? Two
Yes.
broods coming.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect at all the birds and what's happening with their feeding, whatever?
Well, it's such a great abundance. It's a time of abundance, and it's hard in nature. Everybody's just barely making it, and so this is a time of abundance. It's like a once in 17 years they get a break. So yeah, there's going to be a lot. So there probably won't be as much activity at your feeder, but especially birds whose mouths are big enough to swallow those cicadas are going to really be eating them up. So your blue jays and those kinds of crows and some of the bigger blackbirds and even cardinals. Those guys are all going to be just getting tons and tons of these cicadas. And not just that, like everything else, the squirrels and the chipmunks, and everybody's going to be eating these guys, and it's going to be I don't know, it's just a huge boon. You do have to watch out for some of your plants.
Right. I think the smaller trees you have to cover and whatever, right?
Exactly. And you do want to cover them, because some people are like, oh, I'm just going to spray. But the spraying is a really bad idea. First of all, it doesn't even really work against cicadas because they're so big. And one of the ones they're promoting is the 7 stuff, which is a neurotoxin. Should never be messing with neurotoxins, yes. So.
Okay, great. Any other advice you could give to experienced or new birders?
Well, I mean, my first advice is do it and do it often. So if you can dedicate like 15 minutes a day to kind of just watching your feeder or taking a walk out in nature, I mean, that's good for everybody. It lowers your blood pressure, right? We know all the health benefits. So it's great for everybody. And just the consistency, because, it's these winds blow, birds come in, and then the birds move on, and then there's nothing for a couple of days. So you kind of got to be watching every day so you can see when that change happens, so you can catch the big days, you know. And there will be a lot in our own yard. We've had so many great migrants, but only like one really cool one this year, and then next year it'll be a different one. So.
Well, wonderful. Mel, thank you for all the great information that you gave us. We are at Wild Birds Unlimited in Palos Park. This is Spotlight. I'm Beth Barista, PHTV4. Thank you for watching and happy bird watching.